Hey, this is Jerry Chandler. What you are about to listen to is an interview with Christine Parker, Bill Mulligan. It was originally done for an article I was writing for the Needless Things website. The article turned into a part 1 and part 2 because there was so much raw material to work with. It got just a wee bit larger than I anticipated. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Not all of it, even expanding the article as I did, not all of it made it into the finished piece. Some of it just because there was it was pertinent to what we were discussing, but it just would have been too much. Some of it, Bill and Christine talking, went off onto tangents. Very funny, very entertaining stories, but not really related to what we were discussing at the time. So give it a listen. As far as bonus content goes, if you're looking at getting into independent filmmaking, or you are interested in what goes on behind the scenes, this is definitely for you. You'll hear about some of the stuff you'll run into, including a few things that you hopefully will never have to run into yourself. For the rest of you, that's not really where your interests are as far as going, you know what, you'll probably enjoy it too, because there's a reason that Bill and Christine get invited to so many conventions over and over again and are asked to do as many panels as they do. And that's because both of them, as well as a number of the other members of the Adrenalin Productions family, when they're talking about things that they have a passion for and a love for, they are truly some of the most entertaining and enjoyable to listen to people that you'll encounter. And this is a topic they definitely have a great love and great passion for. And it comes through in a way that the written word, no matter even my quoting them word for word in the article, it doesn't hold a candle to actually hearing them tell the stories and hearing them talk about it. So give it a listen. Hope you enjoy. I do apologize in advance for one thing. We all have day jobs, so we coordinated an interview as best we could. Ultimately, the only time that we could get it done, we ended up doing it at dinner time in an IHOP. So, yeah, background noise. But you should be able to hear everything that's said clearly. So, as I said, please enjoy, and hopefully you'll be back for other interviews later down the road. Till then, have a good one. Okay, 8:48, March 19th.
Hey.
2015.
Lots of clanky noise because it's dinner and an interview.
Yes.
Okay, with Christine Parker and some homeless guy that she pulled off the street.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, Bill Mulligan. Start with Christine first. Getting into filmmaking. Speakers right there.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about
All right.
directional.
All right.
Getting into filmmaking.
Yes.
So how'd you originally come into the independent filmmaking?
I got an interest after reading Bruce Campbell's book of Chins Could Kill, and seemed like a lot of fun. So when I lost my job, I decided to go back to school and study television production, just to kind of get the basics of editing and directing, you know, how to do the whole thing. While I was doing that, I was in a class taught by Joe Wilson on, it was like a really boring class, like the history of broadcasting or something. So he kind of saw our eyes rolling back in our head and told us, you know, he wanted to show us what it was really like to make a movie. If somebody would write a script, he would do a short film, and he said he really wanted to do a zombie movie. So I took the initiative and wrote a script for him, and after he approved it, we started shooting Second Death. That was the first movie we made. And after that, we were pretty much hooked, and that's how Adrenalin Productions was born. We continued on and kept making films.
And Second Death was just primarily all you did was script. What
Yes.
else? You didn't do anything else with it?
I mean, they gave me a producer title because I was, you know, pretty much on set during the whole time, and kind of helped promote it and stuff like that.
And you were a zombie.
Yeah, I was a zombie. But I didn't direct or edit or any of that stuff on that one.
And then from Second Death, you spun that out into Forever Dead, right?
Yes.
And Forever Dead was actually where you came in.
No, he came in Second Death.
That's right. You were in Second Death.
Yeah.
I probably should have watched it again. It's been a while since I watched that one.
It's an interesting little short.
Yes, it is.
First color movie in black and white, I think.
Yeah.
And the entire movie is played at the opening credits of Forever Dead.
Which I thought was a brilliant idea.
It was played backwards.
Played backwards.
Yes.
And then you had to watch the whole movie of Forever Dead, and then at the very end,
you see what happens.
To all the characters that you actually have already seen, but since it was backwards, it didn't make any sense.
No. But you didn't see what happened to them.
No.
You just saw,
random stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point with Forever Dead, that was, you had established Adrenalin. That was your kickoff.
Yeah.
And pretty much, how did you
What made you pick the name Adrenalin? Anyway?
Yeah, how did you, it's my question.
Sorry.
It's my question.
I'm curious myself.
Me and Patrick Laurie and David Houston got together one night. We were the originators of Adrenalin.
Drinking was probably involved.
Drinking was involved. We watched Redneck Zombies, Perry's film, and we sat outside and we're like, okay, what can we say about the group? I mean, what do we call it? I'm like, okay, the group. That's part of a name. And then I can't remember even who came up with the idea of Adrenalin. It's like, we're running on adrenaline, And they're like, the Adrenalin group. And we're like, yeah, that's it. So, and that was it. And now I was the only one out of those three that actually.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make a movie. I mean, every single person on God's earth wants to be in movies or make movies.
Right.
And a lot of them, once they do it in any manner, they check it off their bucket list.
Yeah.
And then there are those like ourselves that, okay, well, here's my addiction. Yep. That I keep on doing is I can't imagine not doing it in some capacity.
That's right.
And luckily, you keep finding more and more people that want to do it. So,
and that's part of it too. Is even if you wanted to quit, they wouldn't let you.
Yeah. It's like Michael Corleone.
They're like,
every time I try to get out.
Next one? Yeah.
But it's true. There's so many people in the North Carolina area that are making movies, and then people in that group want to make their own and everything. You could literally spend every weekend on a project, and basically you'd be Tom Gore.
Yes, that's right. Hashtag Tom Gore.
Hashtag Tom Gore.
We will get into Tom Gore on a different day.
That's another interview.
Yes.
When you figured out, okay, we're Adrenalin. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make films. I know there's always like this is what I hope we can do. But when you were actually sitting it down and getting ready to do, what were you envisioning as far as, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z? Like, how far did you think you were going to take it at that time?
Oh, we were going to be millionaires. Yeah. We're just going to make a ton of money. We're going to get distribution all over the world.
At least 91,000.
Everybody was going to watch our movies, and we're going to make tons of money.
Yeah.
The reality was none of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we did get our stuff seen all over the world. I mean, we got worldwide distribution on our very first feature film, which is just nuts.
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder now. There's so many people making movies,
Yeah, you really were at that edge, right, when it kind of all tipped over to people suddenly could make movies.
Noticing
normal people could make movies, and then they started doing it.
Yeah.
There was. It's a rough time for movies right now. It's a rough time for everybody. But technology has just changed everything. It used to be the biggest cost of a movie was the film stock.
Yeah.
And now that's zero cost. The cost of a gigabyte hard drive, which is now nothing.
Yeah.
So that's changed everything, and then now the biggest cost is the camera, but even the camera is now ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, and for anybody that doesn't know the gigabyte thing, or the terabyte thing.
Yeah, terabyte. Why am I saying
I know,
gigabyte? Wait, I'm so
terabyte.
Old. Terabyte.
Because
it's
I
a
know
thumb drive.
Mega terabyte.
Yeah, I know at one point, giving an example of it, there was James Cameron did an interview before Avatar came out, and he said the second Terminator film was not second Terminator. One of the films he did that was heavy special effects. He said it was like 2 or 3 terabytes. Might have been Titanic. 2 or 3 terabytes, and it was they had to pay $1.5 million for a terabyte of additional storage.
Wow.
And he said by the time they did Avatar, they were like 7 or 8 terabytes, and it was $100,000. And now you can buy a 1.5 terabyte home computer for $500.
Yeah.
And a 2 terabyte hard drive for less than 100.
Yes.
The technology has changed. I mean, on the one hand, it's for viewers. This is the golden age.
Yes.
There is so much content out there, and
is.
so much being generated that it literally you cannot keep up with it. Even if you want to be a specialist and say, I only watch zombie movies, there are not enough years in a normal human life to watch all the zombie movies that are being released.
That's right. Yeah.
So content-wise,
but finding the good
great.
ones is the trick.
Finding the good ones is the
Yeah.
trick. And, the whole thing also rests on the fact that it's so cheap to make the movies that people can make them because there's no money in making.
Right.
And that
it doesn't cost anything, but just because everybody can paint doesn't mean they're all artists.
Right. So I don't know if there's going to be a big shaking out that will...
Oh, sure.
It's $37.44. Okay. That's for everybody.
What time do you close?
Huh?
Oh, I'll get their coffee, yeah.
What?
Yeah. You want to pay for everybody? I mean, I got it broke down. This is the ones that they got when they came in.
Back to Christine here. So
Yeah, but getting back on track. All right. At some point, dragging you in officially,
a student of mine said that her friend's mom was making a zombie movie, and would I be interested? Well, would I? So I called her up and probably sounded like a stalker or something. And just basically said, it's always been my dream to be in a zombie movie, and I'll be a zombie or do makeup or get your coffee or make fake blood or whatever.
and your makeup was inspired by
Tom Savini, 100%.
everybody's Tom Savini.
Everybody's Tom Savini. Tom Savini showed you don't need expensive stuff. You can do a lot with just creativity. And I'm not a very good sculptor. I can't draw. I can't sculpt. But luckily, the nice thing about zombies and stuff is it's all mutilation, and there's a few tricks you can learn that look pretty good. It's amazing to me how people are so impressed with some of the simplest little things.
Oh yeah.
But then I look at it on the screen, and sometimes I'm impressed myself. I mean, I thought I was just watching A Few Brains More the other day, and I'll be damned if that scene where Carrie's hand gets bitten by Michael doesn't look freaking good.
Yeah, it does look good.
That just looks really well done. That could be in a real movie and no one would blink.
And it would be in a real movie. It wasn't a real movie.
A real movie where everyone got $91,000.
Like paid, $91,000.
But
oh man, we could write a book on our experiences, couldn't we?
we could, but it would name names and people's feelings would get hurt.
No, we can change the name, just like we did with Fix It and Post.
Like anyone would not know who we were talking about.
Speeding up so we can get to Fix It and Post in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You went from Forever Dead to A Few Brains More.
Fistful of Brains.
Or, pardon me, Fistful of Brains.
Where Christine lost her mind and decided to make a period Western zombie movie.
Hang on, we'll get there.
Okay.
But I know you all have spoken before about, okay, we did this and we made all these, not really all these screw-ups, but here's what we did. We now know what we're doing wrong. Let's see if we can do. You go into that. What kind of, for anybody who's first timing it, what did you learn that you would say, please don't do this, because you're going to beat yourself silly if you do? Or was it mostly just honing rather than we did it wrong, but getting the rough edges off?
Yeah, honing it, making sure you have the right people on your team. Just something we are still learning.
And that takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, at first you can only shoot with the people who show up.
Right.
And until you have a couple things under your belt,
Yeah.
people aren't going to commit to it.
And writing a realistic script, like don't put a zombie rabbit in your script.
Oh, that was the best thing.
It was the best thing, but we could have used it more if we'd been able to pull it off better.
That's and you look back and everything, and you're like, why didn't we we had gold here. We had lightning in a bottle. Why didn't
Yeah.
we see it? At the time, all we saw was this is the hokiest dang thing. People are gonna laugh us off the screen. They did laugh, but they liked it.
Yeah, we laughed at a good thing, except for Count Vargelon.
Well,
Yeah.
we had
Except
critics.
for what?
Count Vargelon?
There was an internet
Count
critic.
Varchelon?
Vargelon.
Varchelon's good. So
Vargelon.
he was an internet critic, and he wrote a scathing is the only word to describe a review.
Play-by-play with screenshots.
I mean, I've never seen such loving hate put into a marginal movie. I mean, most people would start watching the movie, and about 10 minutes in, they'd say, this is a piece of low-budget crap. I've got better things to do with my time. But not this guy. He committed to the end and wrote down everything. I think rewound it and watched it again.
yes.
Took screenshots. And it was, just, wow.
But
he was mean about it. He was,
He was.
like making fun of people's complexions. It's like, hey, these are our friends, douchebag.
Yeah, he made fun of poor, what's his name, Brian's face.
Yeah.
So couldn't you get somebody with, better complexion because he had really bad acne? He was a teenager,
Yeah, he doesn't need this.
Yeah,
It was realism.
Yeah, that's right.
but that's okay because we wrote him into our next script.
We named a character after him, and he actually wrote another review for the movie and liked it.
No, he did a recording. It was a podcast.
He did a podcast.
Review
This is how much this guy was into us. He did watching the movie, podcasting, describing the movie as it's happening. It's like watching a Mystery Science Theater
Yes.
without the visuals.
But they were eating while they were watching it. It was disgusting.
I
Yeah.
liked it though.
Yes.
You should have gotten together with him and turned it into the extra commentary track.
Yes.
But I mean, now looking
What?
at Christine's direction from the first movies to now, I mean, there's no question you can see a self-assuredness. She's also the editor, which is a very underrated part of the picture. And I think having a person who's both director and editor it's hard, but it can also be a big help because there's not the kind of waste of time you normally would have where if you're the director, you don't know what the editor wants, so you shoot far shot, medium shot, close up, you do everything 3 or 4 times. And if you are the editor and the director, you have no intention of using a far shot, you're not going to waste your time with a far shot.
Yeah,
so in
I'm
theory,
already cutting it in my head as I'm doing it.
In theory, it should make things shorter. Although the one rule we've learned is it always takes longer than you think it will.
Oh, always.
So take however much time you think it's going to take, being very sober about it, and then double that, and then you're in the ballpark, and you're still probably wrong.
That's why I always hate it when people are going to be like, okay, what time are we going to be done? I'm like, we'll be done when we get done.
We'll be done when the sun
I
goes
cannot
down.
make you any promises.
Yeah, and that is difficult when you have
Yeah.
people that aren't being paid because they're doing this on their time.
Right.
And that can be rough.
Yeah.
But hey, Jim Wynorski can film an entire movie of naked women in 3 days.
Yeah, these movies are crap. They've got no plot. It's amazing to me it takes 3 days.
A little bit better than crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it is impressive that he makes a movie in 3 days, but then when you see the
Well, they don't
movie,
have
it's
to worry
like,
about wardrobe, right?
Yeah.
there's no plot to these things.
Yeah.
I mean, our movies are heavily plotted.
Yes.
Maybe too much plot.
Heavily.
There's a lot that happens. I mean, our first movie is people trapped in a house with zombies on the outside.
Yes. And
Not-
we decided to go simpler for the second one, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was the second. Fistful of Brains.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which was the zombie western.
Yeah.
great title.
We just needed a western town, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you were able
Luckily,
to find.
we
And costumes.
costumes,
Yeah.
and amazingly, North Carolina has Wild Bill,
Yeah.
a guy, an old cowboy actor, worked in a nuclear power plant. When he retired, he built a western town in his backyard out of scrap lumber and imagination, and it looks awesome.
Amazing.
It's a great place. He's a cool guy. And it does show you sort of the synergy that goes on. We went there, we loved it. Bill, of course, wanted to be in the movie, and all his friends wanted to be in the movie. We're like, okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then when it was over, they had such a blast. He decided to make a movie.
Yeah, he made his own movie.
He made his own movie
He
with
directed
his
his
friends.
first film.
Yeah.
And he edited it himself.
Yeah. And I'm sure they watch it every weekend.
They probably do. Yeah.
But you were starting to say before, too, before we, knocked back on track to get off track again.
That happens a lot with Bill.
No,
Yeah.
Random.
Don't make a period piece, is what you were starting to say.
And don't work with animals.
And don't work with animals
Yeah.
or children.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's not as easy to...
Well, you can tell the genres to avoid are the ones at the 48-hour film festival. When people pull it, they burst into tears. So period pieces, oh god.
And westerns.
And westerns. Although, okay, so our next movie after Fistful of Brains was the sequel, A Few Brains More, which was set in the 1970s. One might think, if one were foolish, that it'd be easier to make a movie set in the 1970s than in the 1870s, and how wrong one would be.
Yeah.
Because 1870s, it's real easy. What kind of cars do they drive? No cars at all. So you just got to make sure there's no cars. But 1970s, there were lots of cars, but they were all 1970s cars.
They weren't all 1970s.
Or 60s
1970s
or
and before.
50s.
Yeah, well, yes, it gets
Yeah.
even easier to find them when they're older. Stop.
Yeah.
No, the point is, you can't have any car. 999 out of 1,000 cars that you see are not usable.
Yeah.
In your period piece.
Yeah.
And that was way tougher. Having to find phones that
And the clothing
look like real phones.
that was right.
The clothing,
was
which
hard.
we saw by just having everybody wear tie dye.
And
You tell people, hey, we're shooting a movie. We need a crowd.
We need extras,
We need
yeah.
extras. It's in the 1970s. Everyone shows up like they're Abby
Tie-dye.
Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the cliche.
Yes.
and which one of you went the most insane trying to wipe out free Wi-Fi,
Oh, God. Yeah, that was a lot of
free HBO?
After Effects tricks.
It
were
wasn't as
used.
bad as the rabbit strings, though, was it?
What?
The
rabbit strings.
Oh no, that was the worst ever.
Yeah,
That was
so-
the worst ever. That's one of those things when you look back, it's like with special effects, there's a lot of why did I not do it this way?
Yeah.
What the hell was I thinking? And that there's a lot of regret and second guessing.
Yeah.
Why didn't I bring the white chocolate for soap? I don't know. Who knows?
Why did I use so much rigid colloidin on poor
Yeah,
Michael's back?
you discover things like rigid colloidin makes great fake scars, but if you put too much of it on someone's back, it can lead to the
They're
real
in
thing.
agony.
They're in absolute agony.
Yeah.
He's a fine actor, Michael Williams. I think I've done.
You tortured
I
that
don't know why
poor
he's
boy.
my friend. I think he's just
tortured
plotting
him.
his vengeance.
Maybe he's a masochist.
I don't
you
think
know?
he must.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
And I think
Well,
that's
while you're ready to do the list very quickly as an off. So you covered his back with rigid colloidin, causing him intense pain.
made him eat soap.
At the same time, you made him eat soap because what did you forget?
The white chocolate.
White chocolate soap.
And then there was the tree bark, too,
Made him eat tree bark. That wasn't so bad.
because you forgot the fake tree bark.
Right. We put him in a hawthorn bush with
Oh,
real
yes.
hawthorn thorns. He's sitting in the coldest part of the woods where there's coyote urine, and he's got contacts in his eyes that can only be there for a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
but they fuse to his corneas.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Michael's a method actor. Michael's one of these guys where it's like, okay, in this scene you're thrown into a pot of boiling oil. And he'll be like, well, I think you need to throw me into an actual pot of boiling oil.
Yeah,
So that I
so I
can,
can feel the pain.
Yeah, as opposed to the rest of us, like, just throw me in some tepid water and
pretend.
I'll scream. No,
Yeah.
but he's an awesome actor. I
What
think
about knob goblins? Did you do something to him for that, too?
Yes. Yes. Well, I don't want to give away too much. That's a movie a short that's coming
guess
out.
people
Well,
find
some
out.
of us sinners thinking
Knobs get gobbled. Let's see. You'll believe that a
It's a
knob gets
Christopher
gobbled.
Moore
It's a Christopher Moore
Oh,
film. So
okay.
That's
Not one of
almost
mine,
that's almost
so.
like saying it's an Alan Watkins joint. Something
Yeah.
bad's going to happen. I think one of the big changes in the movies we've been making is the quality of the acting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been getting better actors.
Yeah.
For some reason, they haven't got word that, they were just a bunch of cheapskates.
And there are a lot
They
of
still want to work with
there's
us.
a lot of good actors out there.
Yeah.
we will get to new movies.
Yeah.
Speeding up because Christine has to go edit.
Yeah.
So you did, as you said, you did a Western, then you did the 70s, which is actually a sequel to the Western following two of the characters coming through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they're
You know
making a whole TV series out of that whole kind of thing.
What's it called?
About a zombie chick who's like...
iZombie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
iZombie, yeah.
But going to that briefly, and I will time it and try to keep us under, say, 10 minutes.
Okay, good luck with that.
Yeah, well, good, easy with you. I'm not sure about
I
him.
know.
Blame me for everything.
It's like A Few Brains More, Summer of Blood. It's supposed to be, what, a 3-month shoot? 3 months, not all together, but weekends.
No,
I think it was like
wasn't supposed to be a 3 months.
like total time or
It
something.
usually takes about a year for us to shoot.
Yeah, but I'm
Total
talking
time.
about, like, total-
total time?
Yeah.
Probably 3 months.
Yeah. And it actually did take the better part of a year.
It took
To
more
2
than it
years.
should
2
have.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Problems.
We had to backtrack.
yeah.
Backtrack a lot.
Vans.
That was the darkest day before the light type deal.
Yes.
Yes. It could not get darker.
With without crucifying people by name,
Right.
avoiding anything that might cause litigation. Can
Like
you
what?
can you go into that on the basis of, you know what, if you follow your passion and you believe in it, it will get better.
Right.
But go into explain kind of what happened with that year.
Well, we started off really good, right?
Yeah.
We had the same two actors, you know, from Fistful
The
of
plan was to
Brains.
make a direct sequel to,
Yeah.
like, this movie starts right after the last one. With the same people, same
We
team. We had
had
so much.
some-
We had a lot of fun
yeah.
making Fistful of Brains.
We did. We
And-
had some issues with the lead actress because she gained some weight, and she was supposed to be like this heroine, you know, and kicking zombie ass and stuff. And she said she was going to lose it and get in shape for the part and everything. So we kept trying to shoot around her. And finally, we had to start shooting her stuff, and it was just a disaster, really, you know, costuming and everything. And then the lead actor, we'd already shot some of his scenes, and then he decides to cut all his hair off. And that was the first thing that went wrong, because I chewed him out. I said, you're not supposed to change your look. How are we going to do this now? How are we going to explain it? Bill's trying to come up with all these ideas to cover it. And so finally the guy's like, that's it, I quit. So now we got to reshoot all of his stuff that we shot, which I think we'd only done like maybe one scene.
Yeah.
Just one scene.
Yeah, with the band
Must
scene.
have been a
the
band scene.
It was the band
Oh, yeah.
scene.
This
yeah.
will come up again.
The band scene. Oh God. So yeah, that was another
Then
thing.
we found another guy.
And
we went
another
through
van.
Another van.
Yes.
And we shot some stuff. And
Uh huh.
then that,
He was apparently friends with some real douchebags.
yeah.
Yeah.
And suddenly that became a problem.
He was really friendly with the lead actress. You know, they became pretty close. And he had some friends who were from Wilmington, and they thought they really should. You know, probably don't know about that, but they came to one of our shoots that we were shooting, and one of the guys who was apparently just really big, and we should have been honored to be in his presence, did slate for us. And after that one shoot, apparently he got the idea that we just had no idea what we were doing. We were complete idiots. I was completely incompetent.
We were ruining the film scene for
Oh,
everyone.
absolutely.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, like right before our huge shoot, we had like a whole ton of extras coming.
Easter 2010.
Easter weekend. We had our executive producer, Lanny Maud, coming out from California. We had Michael Christopher from Dawn of the Dead, who was coming out to be in it.
And a few folks from Florida, people
yeah.
from far and wide,
all
a lot of
over
people.
the place.
We're going to be
coming.
shooting at a really cool location,
Yeah,
an old
3
mill.
days of shooting.
Gillum Mall.
3
Yeah.
intense days of shooting.
Yeah.
And
People camping out there so we could be shooting at all hours of the
yeah.
night. Zombies, makeup, all kinds of stuff.
yes.
This is
So,
we're shooting out of sequence for once. We're shooting the big finale first.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we had a band that was going to be playing and everything, and so yeah, it was a huge shoot. And right before that, I get this email from this douchebag who had done slate for us in this one shoot, and he just chews me out up one side and down the other, sends a picture of himself on the toilet taking a dump.
Okay, I missed that detail before.
You gotta wonder what inspired. What is it about you that inspires this level of vitriol?
I was so nice to him. Wasn't I nice to him?
You really were.
Said I could not direct my way out of vomit-filled paper bag, and that I was surprised that there were other people on my team that felt this way as well. And you know,
It was really.
he said I should go back to making short films because I needed to learn how to direct.
It was misogynistic, and I don't use that word lightly. You know.
Yeah.
Just because you criticize a woman doesn't mean you're a misogynist. But this was very. Just ugly and venal and mean girl. It was like a bunch of mean girl stuff.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
if I remember some of the stories right, even a couple of emails to your daughter.
Yeah, well, yeah, not just my daughter, but other people in the cast, saying that they should not be in my movie, that I was giving North Carolina filmmakers a bad name. Yeah, they didn't know Jessie was my daughter at the time, so they were just emailing the cast, and I started to get the feeling that this was kind of like there was some inside stuff going on here, because they had kind of hinted that there were people in my group that agreed with them.
Paranoia.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to sow the seeds of. So I sent the email that they sent to me to everybody in our group and said, does anybody know what the hell is going on here? Do you know who this guy, why is he saying this stuff about me? And come to find out.
I got to clean up the mess now.
Okay.
And come to find out.
Come to find out that, and I didn't send it to the one guy who was friends with those guys.
Yeah.
But then I found out that our lead actress had told him everything that was going on.
But the lead actor said what?
Told him everything that was going on. All the emails back and forth between us saying, is this guy in on it? Because we didn't know what to think, and everybody's like, no, he's a really nice guy. I'm sure that he would not do that to us and everything. Well, we were wrong. So then, because of all that stuff that was going on, I decided to have them sign a contract. Saying that, just their standard contract, and also a little clause in there saying that they promise not to talk ill of the film while it's being shot. Because the one thing I hated was gossip behind people's backs. And that wasn't just for them, that was for us too, and if they did, that they would not have any, be able to share any of the profits from the movie. So, they just were ballistic over that. They were not going to sign the contract. And I forgot to mention that the lead actress's mom was the wardrobe lady as well.
I remember that.
Yes.
And she was a little off.
Which is very important in a period piece that you have. Thank you. In a period piece, you certainly need a wardrobe. Thank you.
Just a little bit, yeah.
You need a wardrobe lady that asks you questions and then doesn't read the answers.
And if I could get some cream too. Yes.
So anyway, this literally was days before the big shoot.
Yeah.
It's all falling apart.
Oh yeah.
We had another producer, Ed Warner was producing too.
Yeah.
He was going for scorched earth, and we're trying to put out fires, but they're not going out.
No.
So
your Easter weekend,
these people are showing up. The thing is rented.
Oh yeah,
they're showing up.
There's no going back.
No,
it's like,
back.
as in these people, it's all the extras are showing up.
Right.
And
we didn't know really.
Mike Christopher is showing up and the others showing up.
And we're looking like the biggest idiots.
You're not sure if your leads are showing up.
Yeah, we didn't know until that day they were going to show up.
There was no certainty.
We didn't know until the night before that the wardrobe lady had quit. She quit the night before.
Yeah. And
yes.
And I remember.
And she said her daughter would not be there either.
And there was no darker time than then, where we're on the phone nonstop.
Yeah.
Trying to, just trying to cope with the grief of this.
Yes, and I made the mistake of talking to the lead actress, and
burned a bridge.
I hung up on her. Yeah, that was not good.
No, but you're under an unbelievable amount of stress. The amount of everyone was so stressed, and you're at that point where you had a vision in your head of what your film is going to look like. Now it's never going to look like that, but you have that vision, and this was just smashed. Everything's just gone to pieces. This is like your perfect marriage is now ending in divorce, and we came this close to just saying.
Lenny shows up that day, he comes to my house and he's like, so, what are we going to do? Is it going to happen?
we were seriously, and it makes no sense now, we were seriously like, okay, we'll kill off the two main characters. And we'll make the movie about these secondary characters who weren't really...
Scooby Gang, it's over.
Yeah. And you know, you look back on it now, it's like, oh my God, that would have been the worst piece of crap ever. There's no way that would have worked.
And you actually lost one of the Scooby Gang about 3 months
Later, yeah, but at least we had enough of him to do stuff with.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then you doubled him with Shane, who plays 5,000 characters in every film.
Shane can help, but
You know, but cuss me out for that if he ever
You
hears
just have
that.
to change his wig.
the long thing is, we got there. The extras were great. I mean, everybody was like just being, oh come on, you can keep on shooting and coming up with little gags.
The whole
and
weekend
things.
was about them.
The whole week. That's true.
They were the stars
They were no
that
longer
weekend.
extras. They were the stars of the weekend.
Yes.
And they were coming up with little funny bits like, how about this zombie is grilling stuff, and how about we have these little kids playing with a ball, and then we'll cut to them later, and there's zombies playing with a head just like it was the ball.
Yeah.
Guy shows up in a clown costume. It's like, zombie clown. Oh, we're there.
It's too bad that I recorded over some of that.
I wasn't going to bring that up. Yeah, there was a guy with a puppet that was so funny, and
I know.
you should record it over.
Yeah,
It's so
then you could never make it back again.
I know. But the big thing, the big saving thing was there was a young lady there
Yeah, I was going to say.
who was very impressive.
You pushed forward, and pushing forward, you got really lucky. Over waffles.
On the very last day.
Yeah, and I swear I said this.
Yeah.
I remember I said to Christine like on Friday, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if like one of the extras turned out to be perfect for the role? They're like, yeah, Bill, go dream some more.
Well, he planted that seed in my head, though, so I was kind of like eyeing them and thinking.
And there was a young lady there,
And I was so
attractive,
disappointed
really
that I
striking
couldn't be the
eyes.
leading lady.
Yeah, yes, really striking eyes. Her name was Jerry Chandler, and well, then there was another one by the name of Emily Basilos, and you know, and people kept coming up and saying, you know, she's really good. She's done acting and stuff. You should check her out. And
So we
like,
put her through the paces. We had Ted
we
do
had
a
her-
stunt thing with her.
Yeah,
and
Ted
stuff.
did some stunt stuff with her.
Ted Perry.
Yeah, that didn't make it into the movie because she was originally just going to be an extra zombie. Now we had all her doing this stuff, and then that all had to be tossed because
But it was in the extras.
it's in the extra thing.
Yeah.
And we had her read, just gave her some of the script stuff she hadn't seen, and
Cold.
basically did a cold reading and blew us away.
Yeah.
Just, oh my God.
She's
I'm
amazing.
looking at Christine like, am I just so tired and depressed that I'm grasping at any straw here, or did she just knock that out of the park?
Totally good.
And from her, we also, that Michael too, right?
Yes. And we had tried to get, you know, that part cast. We actually had a
my
guy
God.
that we were gonna. He actually had the part. He had gotten the part. None of this would probably have ever happened if we would have had the same role.
Yeah.
You know, because he was the one before the
Right.
douchebag. And he ended up turning it down because I think it was because Michelle tried to make him try on vintage underwear.
Oh my.
I don't know. But he was very religious, and he said he didn't think God would let him play the part.
Which always baffles me.
Yeah, why are you trying out for a zombie movie then?
No, and also I think our movies are morality plays. You know, people got
That's
there
what
was
Breacher did.
There were folks who got upset with 400 Ways to Kill a Vampire because of the blasphemy in it. And I'm like,
Who did?
but it's a vampire.
You got upset.
There were people.
I haven't heard anybody get upset.
Well, none of our crew. There were there, but there was.
I haven't heard anything about it.
You know, but the point is, why,
Okay.
a vampire is evil, so of course he'd be blasphemous.
Yes.
What, I'm going to kill a vampire who's going to be saying, you know, the Hail Mary? No. Anyway.
But in the end, as far as you started out with
Yeah. I cannot imagine the
you
movie.
started out with X crew in front of the camera. You ended with Y crew in front of the camera.
Yeah. I can't
and
imagine.
it actually was probably a better.
Oh, there's no problem.
Yeah.
It was definitely way better than it could have been.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to necessarily trash some of the folks that we
No,
lost
it's not.
along the way, but there's another thing too, and it's not. You need a level of commitment. And I think part of the problem might have been that Christine and I mean, as soon as we were done with Fistful of Brains, we were gung-ho to go into the next movie. And just assumed that everybody else was just as gung-ho. And again, this is something for filmmakers to keep in mind. Make sure that everyone else that is going along with this is not just going along because you're so enthusiastic, you know.
It's not just that too, but some people got egos on them and thought that they were just,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's something to watch out for. This is a small pond. You might be a big fish in it, but it's still a pretty small pond.
And
stay humble.
fast forwarding because 10 minutes turned into 15.
Yeah, well, as usual.
Well, that's all.
But one thing I wanted to go back to. anybody that sees the movie, because you were kind of jokingly going, oh god, the van scene. The van scene in the movie is how many different shoots? It's like, what, three or
four different vans.
20?
It just went on and on and on.
Because we had characters kept changing. 'Cause
Yeah.
we did it the first time with the original Jack in a different van, and then we did it the second time with the second Jack. Then we lost that van, so we did it a third time with the new Jack and another van. Then we had to explain why the window coverings were different because the interior stuff that we had shot in the other one had Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah, Fairly Odd Parents, brilliant.
Yes. So,
It was all a dream.
yeah.
But there's actually a scene in the movie where, if I remember the commentary track right, it's they're having the conversation. They're going. Cuts to Emily and Michael. It cuts to Emily and
Yeah.
Amber, and then it cuts to like Michael was sitting across from it.
No,
It's
Emily,
Michael and
it's
Jesse.
Emily and Michael.
Emily and Michael. Okay, it's Emily and Michael. There's Jesse and
Amber and Kevin.
And
Those were shot at
these
different
three,
times.
Yeah.
The
Oh, very good.
Jesse, Amber, and Kevin were from one shoot,
Right.
And Mike.
With the old actress and the old Jack.
But
Yeah.
as far as editing,
Seamless.
until I heard that in
Well, I'm
the
glad to hear that.
commentary, I had no idea. It was seamlessly done.
Yeah.
And it's like, never throw your stuff out when you
No.
recast.
Oh, never throw anything out.
And then, my daughter also had brought her son, Joe, onto the set too. And he was actually in the back of the van the whole time because he didn't want to be separated from her. So, like, every now and then we'd have to
Shooting.
stop because his little head would pop
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Like,
it's-
Mama.
Chim Chim.
Yeah.
Well, and if I remember some of the shooting right, that was also, there were two scenes with Bill where it was supposed to be outside of the lab that was done at the mill during the weekend. And you had to shoot everybody close from the waist up because Joe was wrapped around her
Yes.
leg
Yeah, yeah.
and would not let go of Mommy.
Yes. And the lab was actually the toilet.
Trust me, I remember that.
Only men are
And it
allowed
was
in this
one-
lab.
It was one of the most disgusting toilets.
Yeah, it is.
One of the
It is
reasons
It would
why the
overflow.
owners probably lost that property.
pretty- Yeah. it's-
Did they lose it?
No, I thought they sold
I
it.
thought it went to new ownership, and I thought some
No.
of that was over. I remember somebody had said something about
but-
insurance and stuff.
No, the old guy, he still owned it, but he was older, so he had a board of trustees that was
Yeah.
taking care of
Okay.
it, and they charged more money,
Yeah.
so we could not use it again.
It's too bad. It's great. Still a great
Yeah, because we
location.
wanted to use it for Fix It and Post.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
But
it was too expensive.
coming out of A Few Brains More, you've got Emily, you've got Michael, you did The Ghostly Gas, Catch Me If You Can, which was Bill's directorial debut.
Yeah,
Wrote and directed. Let's see,
With a lot
Ghostly
of help
Gas,
from Christine.
Catch Me If You Can.
Dead of the Night,
Yeah,
Loneliness.
Dead of Night, Loneliness. I actually left out.
Mother.
Did you get Getting Ahead in the Movie Biz?
Getting
Yeah, I
Ahead in the
left
movie
out Getting
business.
Ahead in the movie business. Was that that was before
That was after, that was before A Few Brains.
A Few Brains More? Yeah,
Well, in between.
because you had
And so was Dead of the Night.
and Mother, which was
Sick Chick Flick.
still. That one still is just okay.
That movie, that one affects people in
and
different
I
ways.
mean that in a good way. It
Okay.
was one of those ones that just I honestly did not know how to
People have very
react
different
to it the
reactions
first
to it.
time.
Yeah.
People, I think a lot of the reaction people has that will depend on their own experiences.
Yeah.
Which people have no idea of what it's about. It probably doesn't resonate the same way.
But basically, there was the spat of short stories
A lot of
because you
shorts.
guys were or short
Exhausted.
films
Exhausted.
because you guys were burned and exhausted.
Yes.
But then it's like, okay, batteries are recharged, and we're basically catching up to now, which is fix it in post.
Which is basically the story of A Few Brains More, just set in the apocalypse.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the trauma of having made, feature-length movies on low budgets, and just the funny things that happen, the characters you have,
Yeah.
all the little bits of tension and everything there. It kind of made it funny
Yeah.
and just added in the apocalypse element.
Yes.
So I think this is pretty much a conversation we had on back and forth to a con or something. You're driving in the car for a long time, and you're just talking about stuff. And somehow that came up. Wouldn't it be funny if we were making a movie and in the middle of nowhere and civilization ends?
Listen, watch it play in the jukebox.
You know, now people. I think people have actually done the idea of people making. I mean, in fact, George Romero's Diary of the Dead. They're making a zombie movie, and there's an actual zombie apocalypse. So, so ours was not that there was an actual zombie apocalypse, but if there was an apocalypse, people would assume that there would be zombies.
Or interrupting slightly, going to Bill's great love of cinema, children shouldn't play with dead things.
That's right. That's right. You know, if you mess with things.
And it actually, it's funny because there's actually some filmmakers out in, I think it's New Zealand, who were making pretty much the same movie we just made.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
You didn't see the trailer I put up?
No, what was it? What was it called?
I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically about a group of filmmakers who are in the middle of making a movie and the zombie apocalypse happens. So, yeah.
I think one of the things that our joke is a little different is that there is no zombie apocalypse, but it's just that we've been so trained to assume that if there is any kind of apocalypse, zombies will be there, that people would accept that. Normally, you know, I mean, if you look outside and you saw zombies walking down the street, you know, you'd say zombie
well,
walk.
it's bound to happen.
Yeah, you know, I mean, really, we now think that's a possibility. Students ask me if there could actually be a zombie apocalypse. And I don't mean they're asking in a dumb way. They're, well, no dumber than usual. It's like, is there any conceivable way? And it's like, I wish I could say yes. And we put that into the movie too. The fact that people were disappointed that there really wasn't
a zombie apocalypse.
It's funny. I think the one line that at least for the next few months we'll still get a laugh is when they're all around the campfire and they're talking about how they need to go to the store and get some food the next day. And someone's like, "What do you mean the next day? This is North Carolina. If it even a flake of snow falls down, people just lose their crap, run out there and ransack the place like locusts. If we don't get there now, there's going to be nothing left." When we just had the premiere a few weeks ago, everyone thought that was hysterical because we've just been through Snowmageddon.
Yes.
Snowmageddon,
all 3 inches of it.
Yeah.
But it's like a filmmaker's guide to the apocalypse. Film starts. You kind of mentioned it, but there are actually things in there that basically came out of the behind the scenes. There are things that pull through, which without getting Bill in trouble, I think Bill kind of phrased it one time to me as we had to do everything we could to keep Christine from using actual names.
Oh yeah, payback's a bitch. And so's Christine when she's writing a script and wants to get you.
That's why I kill my critics in my movies.
It's like, oh, okay.
You and Harlan Ellison.
Yeah, oh yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, Count Vargelon got a really nice death. He got gutted and had his guts pulled out.
Oh, don't mess with
He was
Christine.
very happy with it.
Yeah, who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
That's always been my goal in life. But it was fun. I mean, you know, people got to play exaggerated versions of themselves, some more than others.
Yeah.
Some probably less exaggerated than they think.
Yeah.
But you also pulled in some new people. Or
did.
not maybe new people, people you've met, but the cinematographer, various others. So
there's a few different cinematographers that worked on it. It was another one of these things where the shoots, we had to do more than we thought. And that ended up being
it's hard to schedule people.
And unfortunately, a lot of it takes place outdoors, and the weather cooperated at first, and then just decided to screw us at every opportunity.
Yes.
In one case, almost apocalyptically so. There was more rain than anyone has seen since Noah.
Basically, yeah. Everybody was stuck in the mud.
All the cars sank, just literally like the earth was swallowing them up.
And
we're trying not to ruin these lovely people who probably go to their graves regretting that they did this.
And then we spent the whole next morning trying to tramp down all the tracks.
Stomping on mutilated grass like we're doing anything. A herd of elephants could not have done more damage. They were so nice.
They were very nice.
Beautiful property.
Yeah.
I did see them over at Brett's house.
Oh, did you?
Yes. They look like they're doing very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some new folks. Miles.
We actually had
Lily.
auditions.
We had auditions. We did auditions.
Video.
Skype auditions. Which is a great way. I think a great way for filmmakers to find people.
It was great because we had like the three-way Skype thing going on. And actually, the person who was supposed to be the lead actor couldn't do it either. So
yeah. And we did find, I mean, even some of the people we turned down, I felt bad because they were so
They
good.
were really good. We had some really good auditions.
So once you have a few movies under your belt, and people realize you are not just bullshitting them,
but you actually finish what you
that
start.
there are a lot of people out there. The ones who really do hurt the indie film community. There's two kinds. The ones who like trash people's property when they're given permission to work on it, and like we did, except they don't feel bad about it. And then the people who have these great projects that they're endlessly raising money for, but it never gets done.
Yeah.
And they waste everyone's time, waste everyone's money. The money they make goes into the next fundraiser, which makes less and less money because people get tired of it. And it just never happens. So once you have a couple under your belt, actors who are working, most of them for almost nothing or nothing, you know, this is the coin that you're giving them is credits. So there better be some credits. They better get done.
Yeah.
If you're not going to, you know, feed them at least, and if you're not going to pay them, make sure that they have an IMDb credit when it's all said and done. We got some very good actors on this, and then also, like we said, the people, the friends and family that we've been using mostly got to play themselves. So even though some of them are not professional actors, they're pretty good at playing themselves.
But also, what I was asking, some of what I was going towards before was, I know some of the behind the scenes, not so much just the in front of the scenes, because I know you, in one of the shoots, was talking about, you were looking at a lot of the footage, and as far as how it looked at praising, I know one of them was Tom, I think you were praising, a couple of the others, and Shane, who had come down, they were setting things up, they were getting the cinematography, the shots, as far as like a new crew, how do you compare the technical end of Fix It in Post to where you were a film ago?
You mean as far as the features we've done?
As far as anything, just as far as
technical standpoint,
as far as
looks better.
As far as
yeah, I mean, this is the first feature we've done in HD.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Well, not even the HD. I'm just saying you did the feature films, you did all these shorts. You're still picking up and getting better and better and better. Now you dive back in.
Yeah.
As far as just putting the feature film together, like where do you feel you are now as far as your evolution?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely way better than our last feature. I think the recent shorts we've done are every bit as good as what we've done with Fix It in Post. We've got some really good short films under our belt.
You gain confidence.
Yeah.
There's give
got
and
it
take in
down,
everything. You
just
get it
about,
down.
yeah.
I mean, I guess the one thing you have to watch out for is you don't want to lose that kind of crazy, spontaneous love that you had early on. You look at some filmmakers' early films. There's a level of energy and creativity and there's a rawness, of course, but that what happens is as you get better and better, the films become somewhat a bit more, I don't know, conservative, or they kind of lose that crazy quality. Why is Brian De Palma not making good movies anymore?
The more money they get, because it's about just doing something will appeal to the masses, that'll make the money, that'll make the studios happy, and not so much what makes you happy and what you want to do creatively.
I mean, it's like you look at a painter. They start out their painting. Their painting may not be technically perfect, but there's just a real vibrance and energy to it.
Yeah.
And then you see them when they're older, and everything's perfect. But the perfection, those rough edges, are kind of sometimes the beauty too.
Yeah.
Now some people get better and better with everything. I mean, Jason Butrin. You look at his first one and his last one, and the evolution's amazing. I think a lot of
Chris
the
Moore,
indie,
too.
Chris Moore.
Yeah.
Just all of them. Brett Mullen. You see this. Some filmmakers, Ed Wood was as bad with his last movie as he was with his first.
Yeah.
H.G. Lewis never learned a damn thing. The indie filmmakers around here, their early stuff is good and their later stuff is better.
Yeah.
It's just the only unfortunate thing is that the industry itself is, like I said, in a weird place where there's not necessarily any great rewards in this, other than the reward of being part of the community, making art. I don't want to discourage anyone. Who knows? Things could get picked up and distributed, or Hollywood could throw money at you and say remake it.
Yeah, don't
Who
do
knows?
it to make money. I tell everybody that. Don't do it to make money. Do it because you love doing it.
So you have to be realistic about it.
Yeah.
And with this movie, the premise didn't really require a lot of sets.
No.
It did require a lot of people. But even in that one, we thought, because the scenes had different, we could kind of shuffle. There were a few main actors and actresses that had to be focused, but we could have scenes with these others. And if one of the others couldn't show up, his lines or her lines could be given to another person.
Yeah.
So there, it was.
Yeah, because we didn't have. I mean, we did have a couple that were like the main stars, but everybody was fairly equal.
Everyone got some
as-
funny bits.
Yeah, they did.
And this was our first intentional comedy,
Yes, our first intentional comedy.
at least feature length. I guess some of the
Yeah.
shorts were funny on
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah, getting ahead in the movie business was,
Yes, amusing.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
You're basically the same character in this
And
film.
comedies, comedy's risky.
uh-huh.
Comedy is risky, So okay, we had our premiere,
Yes.
and how'd you feel?
I felt really good. They
At
really
Mysticon.
got
At
it.
Mysticon.
Yeah.
Where
I
it
mean,
won an award.
people were laughing out loud through the whole thing.
Which you want to hear in a comedy.
Exactly.
Deathly silence. The thing, with a horror movie, you can kid yourself that no one's reacting because they're so flippin' terrified that their hearts are stopping. That's why, it sounds like they're sleeping, but they're just shutting their eyes in terror. You can kid yourself, you can lie. But with a comedy, if they ain't laughing, it ain't funny. They're not laughing inside. They're not holding it in. They're just
Some
not
people
funny. and funny.
genuinely seem to feel sorry for poor Ted.
There's a sad scene with Ted.
Yes.
Getting close to 9:45, and I promise not to keep Christine longer.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I can get some things from Bill on the drive.
Talk.
So, give me not so much a blur, but give me your best on Fix It in Post. What would you want people who've never heard of it, never heard of you, but they might see this is listed at a convention in Film Fest? Give me the sales pitch.
If you ever want to know what goes on behind the scenes of an independent film, come check out Fix It in Post. Because,
What goes
All
on behind
that.
the scenes and
And the apocalypse.
the apocalypse, which
Yeah.
So it's got something for the kids too.
yes.
Yeah.
explain, do you want people to come and find out, or do you want to go ahead and explain what causes the apocalypse here? Because you kind of see it in the trailer.
No, you can tell people. Yeah.
It's an EMP.
Yeah.
The sun gets froggy.
The Carrington event.
Yeah, the
Named
Carrington
after Bob
event.
Event. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Carrington Event. And then, of course, after we make this movie, all of a sudden, Carrington Event is everywhere. They're making TV shows about it.
I know,
They had,
it's
they had,
just
they had a
crazy.
show called The Carrington Event.
Yes.
I'm like, geez.
I know.
Jump on the bandwagon,
So weird.
It's like Armageddon and Deep Impact come out the same, what? Everyone suddenly, reads that Discovery article about asteroids and have to make a movie about it.
So it's basically independent filmmakers colliding with a bunch of cannibal redneck zombie hunters. So
They're making a movie in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Everything gets turned off. Civilization collapses. You're going to have to live by your wits and your skills. And independent filmmakers have no skills that are really useful in anything other than making independent films.
except for pulling the wool over people's eyes.
And our guys are not
Yeah.
particularly big on wits too, but
But they're very creative.
they are creative.
Very
They're not
creative.
the smartest. They're not the smartest people, but compared to everyone else in the apocalypse, actually, they're in the
They're
top
smarter than the
95%.
rednecks,
Yeah,
yeah.
They're definitely yeah. So, but I think the movie is affectionately fun with the characters. I mean, there's not a lot of meanness in it.
Except for the douchebags,
Even the douchebags, I think,
which are loosely based on
loosely based.
on actual douchebags.
And we got Jason to play the head douchebag,
Yeah.
which is the exact polar opposite. In casting against type, that would be putting Jason
Yeah.
as a know-it-all filmmaker douchebag.
Yeah.
But he did it well.
Because he
he-
probably knows people just like we do that are like that.
Yeah. He amazingly played a pretentious filmmaker very
Yes,
well.
very well.
Everybody was good. I like the characters. I actually have affection for those characters.
I know. They're fun characters. Yeah.
And he's like, wow, if you had $100,000,
then
would it
put an
look
all-star?
different? Oh yeah. I mean, there's that big budget
You want grits
gloss
and hash browns.
that you just can't get
Cooked right.
on a low budget. It's getting easier.
How would you like the
The
eggs?
technology's better. The cameras are good. The color correction, everything. Things don't look like they were shot on a
Ham, bacon,
camcorder
and
anymore, even
sausage?
if they are. But
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone's got $100,000 they want to throw around, have we got some scripts for you?
Oh my God! We
That's
could
the
make
thing. Money,
some
the
amazing.
money that
Your
a real
4-hour vampire epic.
yeah, the money that a real Hollywood movie would consider.
For those of you reading at home,
that?
the look on Christine's face just now was
Listen, if you want me to burst into tears, I have actually chopped that thing down to 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Just remember, it's a visual medium. You don't have to say everything.
Just remember Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Brown cooked light.
If the dialogue
Order
is
scrambled
good,
cheese,
it's
plate marked to
If
go.
it's good.
yeah. If it's good,
If
it's
it has
entertaining.
purpose.
It has
Stay
purpose.
crispy.
You know, I mean, this is the most dialogue-heavy movie we've ever made.
This one, yeah, because
Yeah.
you helped me write it.
Well, also because how many visual gags can you
There's some good visual gags.
There are.
I mean, if you look at like Fistful of Brains, that was a very light script. But
Yeah.
and that one actually came out at 90 minutes,
Yeah.
the way it should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that the thing with a horror movie like that is the visual part, because you're making a zombie movie.
Yeah.
There's going to be those 10-minute sequences of zombie mayhem. You
Right.
can just pencil that in there, and then there's 10 minutes of zombie mayhem.
Yes.
And you just like make it up on the spot.
Yeah.
And everything. But if you're doing a vampire movie, vampires are not a bunch of grunting retards running around, biting
Well, you
people.
certainly didn't make the women talk, did you? The women didn't talk in your movie.
They didn't.
No. They were all visual.
I failed the Bechdel test utterly. Yeah, but don't need to get into that. Don't need to get into that. But to make 400 Ways to Kill a Vampire pass the Bechdel test, I would have to have had someone actually torturing a woman. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to earn a lot of good brownie points from the social justice warriors on that one.
Why would you have to have somebody torturing a woman?
Because the only two characters that are talking are the torturer and the tortured.
Well, yeah, but there were two women in the film. They couldn't have said anything to
What
each
the
other.
hell would those two have had to say to each other?
They could have been talking about you two idiots.
Yeah, it would have been,
Yeah.
terrible. They showed
but then
up.
they would have been talking about the
About a
men.
man, yeah.
But that was the whole point. They showed up. They didn't care about those two. They weren't even issues anymore.
No,
those
they were
two,
just looking at each other.
The only normal, honest, good human emotion in the whole film is those two women. Vordenberg's a broken
Right,
psychopath.
without a word.
And
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there was nothing for them to say. Yeah. And in the script, in the expanded script, they still don't have a whole hell of a lot.
I know.
Anyway,
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 because Bill doesn't know how to write for women, that's why.
I know how to write for women.
No, you don't.
I just write for men and take
He
out
knows.
all logic and sensibility.
Oh.
Ooh, see, I think that's actually a Jack Nicholson line from some other movie.
You actually did all right with Cash Me If You Can.
Yes, actually, yes. Emily was a very, but
Yeah.
that whole thing worked because of the chemistry between the two, which is amazing since they just met each other.
Yeah.
That's the thing when you get good actors. Two good actors can actually make you believe they like each other when they just met each other and maybe don't even like each other.
Yep.
But they did. They were good crew. So what's next?
Well, next
Yeah,
is
what's next?
Sick Chick Flick.
again, this is my
Again.
questions. My questions.
We're going back to the shorts.
What's next?
Shorts for a while. What's next for
Sick
Christine
Chick
Parker?
Flicks is doing Telltale Heart next.
The
And
Telltale Heart.
Telltale Heart.
Just the same name, or you're playing on the actual Telltale Heart?
It's going to be the Telltale Heart, but it's going to be the Telltale Heart and whatever happened to Baby Jane.
And Sick
Yeah.
Chick Flicks is
Is my all-female filmmaker group. Yes.
I know that, but you have to say
Sometimes they let me
so
help,
I can write it.
but I have to wear a dress.
Yes. Well, we're doing the 48-hour film festival. We'll let you guys
Oh,
help
thank
out
you.
again.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
We'll let you guys help.
Yes. Be the honorary
Paul asked,
token man.
Paul asked if he could help, too. So he wants to help out.
Yeah, what gee, can you imagine? Yeah. The tournament, hanging around a bunch of creative women making films. Yeah. Gee, I don't know. What else was I going to do that weekend? The women in indie films are fun women. They're smart. They're creative. You got to watch what you say there because it's like you got Angela Gettings there. You don't ever say, well, she's not a rocket scientist because she really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if she actually does rockets, but she could. What she does is the
She's very
equivalent
smart.
of being a rocket scientist. She it's like, oh, sorry guys, I got here a little late. I was curing rectal cancer. I don't know. She's amazing. She's a scientist. So you have these really creative people that, I mean, all kinds. We've got a few Angelas, and every one of them has a different story. What's gotten them, what the journey that they took to get there is wide and
We do
varied.
actually have 3 Angelas in See Chick Flick.
Yeah.
It was a popular name, I guess.
Yeah.
So you'll do the short. It'll be the Telltale Heart. Have no dialogue. Because she's-
Yeah. And I guess we're going to do the sequel to 400 Ways, right?
We'll see. I mean, I'll get you this. I'll show you the script. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think.
Well, the last one I saw was okay. It was a bit wordy, but, you know.
Well, that was just a short thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can do that.
Oh, you want to do a feature?
Oh, man,
I don't want
I
to do another feature.
I know.
for a
The
while.
feature's a little scary. Well, the cool thing about the short is the short can be incorporated into the feature. It's actually a
I think
piece
we
of the
should do
feature
a web
cut out.
series.
You know, the only thing about web series is they can only be like 10 minutes long.
Yes,
That
exactly,
sucks.
Bill.
No.
Exactly.
No, a story needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you have to every 10 minutes, that's just.
Have you never heard of serials? You know, like it continues on to the next episode.
Chex, Cheerios.
I have heard of them, but the good ones are like Breaking Bad, where they actually have time to tell the story.
No, it doesn't have to be that long. You need
You
to
know,
watch some web series.
I do, but most of the ones that work are the ones that are on a simple level, like they're fighting.
I just want something simple.
I know we want something simple. I want
Because it's
something
hard
crazy.
to keep that momentum up
It
with
is.
a feature film. Keep people interested for
It
a
is.
year.
It is.
You know, I mean, toward the end there, it was like, when is this going to be over? You know.
Well,
Shorts are so much
ensemble
easier.
pieces are tough. I mean, if you're going to
Yeah.
do a feature, do it with as few.
No, Bill.
main
Every
characters
feature
as
we've done,
possible.
we've run into the same thing.
I know.
Yes.
Because some of the secondary characters turn out to be interesting. It's tough. It's
is.
a real challenge.
Yes.
But boy, if someone threw some money at us,
Yeah, if somebody would just throw some money at us. If we could be
wealthy
like
dentist.
Con Man, who's
Yeah.
over $2 million now raised for their web series.
really?
Yes.
Wow.
They were only trying to raise $475,000.
Well, share the wealth, guys. Get the extra and send it our way.
Yes.
You should raise funds to make a.
Well,
what was
I
it?
mean,
What was it? Macaroni
all
and
the
cheese.
Serenity fans, you know.
Yeah.
No, what was it? Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Peanut butter and jelly
or-
sandwich.
Yeah.
I know it's ridiculous.
No, potato salad.
Potato salad,
Potato
that was
salad
it, yes.
guy.
Painful. See, that's the thing. I mean, here's the problem: is an idea comes along and it seems really good, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon, and almost immediately gets co-opted by the wrong people. So this crowdfunding was the idea of indie people, regular folks, being able to pull in lots of different things and get a real budget. And then the freaking Hollywood guys showed up and started doing the same thing. It's like, hi,
Veronica
I'm
Mars.
a multi-millionaire, and I'd like to make Veronica Mars, but I don't want to pay for any of it. Like, you too can be a part of Veronica. Well,
And everybody,
they're
yeah.
they're going to send me $10, some guy they've never
No,
heard of, to do a
no.
character they've never heard of, or they're going to like be a part of their favorite bestest buddy, Veronica Mars. Well, I mean, look, if Marvel said, "Hey, Bill, send me $10 and we'll make you, a producer on Iron Man," yeah, I'll go for that deal.
Well, you saw what happened to that bus monitor on the bus, right?
No,
No, where the person was videotaping and the kids were making fun of her and making her feel really
Yes.
bad that she got all that money. So, hidden camera in your classroom. Hidden camera.
oh, that's it. Yeah, and like tell the kids to really do terrible things
Oh,
to me.
yeah.
It's like this poor guy is
and
just
then-
trying to teach children, and they mock him, and
That's
they
right.
pelted him with rocks and garbage.
Then post it on YouTube, that have them post the video on YouTube, and then we'll start an Indiegogo. Please help Bill Mulligan retire from teaching. Yes. We'll raise $1 million, and then we can make movies.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That could be a movie right there.
Ooh, a movie about people who create an internet meme and it gets out of hand.
Yes.
And then, okay, so they do
But
that.
I
They
think
do
Jack
something-
Lemmon already sort of did that one.
Jack Lemmon?
But yeah, he did. I want to say it was Jack Lemmon, and it was. He basically made something up, and they actually put up this billboard. It was like some bizarre name, like Whammo or Wimmo or something. But Wimmo is coming, and it was like just this complete garbage. There was nothing. He just put it up, and suddenly everybody in the city is looking at these billboards and these adverts, and it's like, what is it? What is it? Well, we can't tell you what it is. What is it? What is it? Well, we can't tell you what. And suddenly it's like everybody wants it, and he has nothing.
Nothing. Oh, that's interesting.
No, but this is more like...
But like, so
Yeah.
like they create this meme and people start sending in money, but and like, okay, so they're happy because they conned everyone, but then like it turns out that as a result of this, people's attitudes are really changing. Like people people stop bullying. I mean, good is coming out of it,
It's
and now
like World's Greatest Dad.
yeah, and exactly.
yeah.
And now they're in this conundrum where the con has now got if they reveal that it was a con,
And plus,
it's
you've got
gonna-
all this money now.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, see,
yeah. This is how it happens.
this is how it happens.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, a year later,
Yeah.
we're like, what the
Yeah.
hell were you thinking?
You're driving to Horror Find or something like that,
Yeah.
and going, wouldn't it be funny if everybody in the world died while we were filming a movie?
We're sitting in a barn, we're getting rained on. Christine's throwing scripts at me.
It
Couldn't
was
you tell
probably
this
when
story
I
with less
forgot my
dialogue?
purse back at the hotel.
Oh my god. She ranks on me for forgetting stuff, because I do. But here's the thing, I bring everything. I bring every single thing that I could possibly need. I bring so much stuff that I leave things behind that I really did need, that there was no question I would need, but because I had to bring that air compressor that there was a 1% chance I would need. Meanwhile, I leave the box of actual, like it has stuff on it, things we need written on the side, and that gets left behind.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I never left my purse at a hotel and remembered it 3 hours later.
On the other hand, you never drank like almost a whole bottle of Kraken the night before.
This is your defense.
Yes.
That's her defense.
Yes.
I cannot
My
control
brain was
myself
numb.
around rum,
Yeah.
and therefore
That's right.
that was the longest ride back. Because when you forget something, you got the ride back and then the equal ride. So it's not just we're an hour out. That means we're 2 hours away from
So we
where
were 4 hours
we were.
out.
Yeah. We felt so because she looked so miserable that we just made fun of her the whole time. No, we were like, it's okay.
No,
you
they
know.
still make fun of me.
We
about
still
it.
do. Now in the safety that is time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
we
look
still
back
make
on
fun
it,
of you
wow.
over the soap and the colloidin, so.
At least she doesn't lie about it. She could have said it. She could have said a lot of things. She could have said, "Oh my God, that camera file broke," or my hard drive crashed, or my dog licked it, or something. No, she just said, "Oh, I taped over it." Derp.
Well, I mean, I make stupid mistakes. Everybody does. When I almost lost that SD card during Fix It in Post, you guys were probably like, oh no, not again.
Where did we find that? Was it on the floor? It was on the ground or
It
something?
was laying on the ground right in front of the barn. As soon as I got out of my car, I walked over there, looked down, and there it was.
A miracle.
Yes.
A miracle.
It was like blowing. Like, oh.
So if you're going to make a movie, make a list of all the sets that you have, make a list of all the cool
We
things
say
your
that
friends
every
we say
time,
it
and then
every
we
time.
completely ignore it.
And then it's like scene 1, an abandoned insane asylum.
Because that's where we really want to shoot.
Because that's where we really want to shoot. We
Yeah.
figure if we write it, maybe someone will find it
saw it
for
on
us.
Facebook.
You've seen Hell No, right? The trailer, that fake trailer, Hell No, the sensible horror movie.
No. Oh wait, yeah.
Don't do the abandoned asylum.
Yeah.
Don't do the abandoned asylums. Fake it.
Every
would be
time someone
so
posts something on
awesome.
Facebook, this lost town, this lost Viking village was
like,
found in
oh.
Pennsylvania. It's like, ooh, can we film that?
Abandoned amusement park.
This
An entire abandoned village in Virginia.
this pile of
Oh
broken
yeah,
glass.
just watch out for the people that live near there.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Watch out for the
I mean,
homeless people that live in
obviously,
it.
There's a movie. A bunch of filmmakers go to film in an abandoned West Virginian village and are eaten by the people who live in the not so abandoned West Virginian
Yes.
village.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
It's 10 o'clock. I think
I
we have
know.
to let Christine go.
I think
Yeah,
we
you're
do.
gonna have to let me go, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll leave out. We have to go to the bathroom.
Hopefully my son is